Hello everybody, this is GeneralJannis, and in today's Death Guard Tactics I will be continuing my review of stratagems, and this time it's for the Blightlord Terminators. So before I start, I would like to thank everybody supporting my channel and subscribing, all the valuable comments, and for all of you viewing the videos and your nice feedback. So let's start with this video. So here, as I did for the Plague Marines, I will be reviewing Death Guard stratagems that are applicable to Blightlord Terminators. I will review first the general stratagems that can be used, and some specific Terminator stratagems and Plague Company specific stratagems. For the Blightlord Terminators, I don't think there is any particularly crazy stratagem combo, so there will not be no special section for this. But let's have a look at the stratagems. All right, so the general stratagems, we have the Cloud of Lies, which gives a Death Guard infantry unit that it cannot be targeted unless it's the closest unit. So I think this is in general, this is a good stratagem for Death Guard to be able to hide a unit from shooting by the enemy. But I think the question for the Blightlord Terminators is that if you deep strike them in turn 2 and you are, let's say, 9-inch close to make your charge, then I guess it will be difficult to have something else even closer to the enemy. So I think it would be more or less not super useful for the Blightlord Terminators in a deep strike mode, at least. Then we have the Grandfather's Blessing for 2 command points. Here the Death Guard infantry unit regains D3 wounds, and if no model is wounded, return 1 model back at 1 wound. This is quite expensive, but this could be useful to bring back 1 Terminator model if it's really crucial in a crucial stage of the battle, but you will be paying 2 command points to get a 50 point unit back with one damage, but with 1 wound. But it could be that you really need to take out a tough target. You are already engaged. Maybe you can bring 1 more Terminator back, and you get, especially if it has a special flail or something and you lost it, you can bring it back. So probably too expensive, quite expensive, but it could be useful in a very crucial stage in the battle. And then we have the Veterans of the Long War. In the shoot or fight phase, Death Guard infantry gets +1 to wound, and this is one of the best original stratagems. +1 to wound in shoot and melee versus tough opponents can mean a lot of extra wounds. The Bale Sword, the standard melee weapons of the Blightlord Terminators are the Blade Sword with strength 4 and the Bubotic Axe with strength 5. And in the shooting we have the Combi Bolters strength 4. So all these could benefit the +1 to wound, especially against the tougher targets. And synergy with other stratagems that increase the bolter shots and the Blades of Putrefaction. Before in 8th it was really good to get Blades of Putrefaction and Veterans of the Long War, because then you would do a lot of mortal wounds, but now they are they don't stack, so you can use in melee combat you could either use the Veterans of the Long War or the Blades of Putrefaction. The Blades of Putrefaction is better, but at least it's a psychic power. Continue with the general stratagems. We have the Relentless Volleys, like for Plague Marines. In the shooting phase, Death Guard infantry unit bolt guns become rapid fire 2 instead of rapid fire 1, and the combi bolters are rapid fire 3 instead of rapid fire 2. And it's 1 command point for 5 models and 2 command points for more models in the unit. This is a good stratagem for the bolter profile of combi weapons. For example, a combi flamer the bolter would be rapid fire 2 instead of rapid fire 1. And for the combi bolter, as it says, a rapid fire 2 combi bolter would be rapid fire 3. So the Terminators will be shooting 6 shots each with the combi bolter instead of 4, because they always shoot double the amount of shots. However, most times I think just if you have a combi plasma or combi melta, as we saw in the video with ranged analysis, I think it's better not to shoot the bolter profile. Because then you get -1 to hit for both the bolter and the plasma profile or the melta profile. So mostly it could be useful if you have the combi bolters and you need the extra 50% shots to shoot some vital target. Overwhelming generosity gives additional range 6 inch of play weapons. This is again a good death card stratagem, but not particularly for Blightlord Terminators. Maybe the Plague Spewer could benefit, but to get from range 9 to 15 inch, but only 1 in 5 models. It's like an option weapon for this, so I guess it would not be worth the extra range for most. I mean, I don't think you would be taking the Plague Spewer, unless now we will get some better rules for the Plague Spewers and other flamer weapons that they get naturally increased range, and in this case I don't think you would be needing the overwhelming generosity as you come out from Deep Strike. So I think this one is not very useful for the Blightlord Terminators. The Creeping Blight in the fight phase gives it adds 1 to melee damage rolls, and on an unmodified 6 to wound, the AP becomes -4 for that attack. This one could be interesting for Plague Marines, but for the Blightlord Terminators, basically it's not giving any significant benefit. The damage roll buff is not applicable because the melee weapons have fixed damage and they don't have any damage roll. The AP -4 is not so useful because the Blightlord Terminators melee weapons already have quite high APs, and especially on a 6 to wound with the Aura of Rust ability, they would get increased AP damage. So the Bale Sword on a 6 to wound would have AP -4, and the Biotic Axe would get an AP -3. And I think for most of the cases that's enough. I think this doesn't apply well to the Blightlord Terminators, the Creeping Blight. The Life Eater stratagem, death card unit in melee and on an unmodified 6 to hit with a plague weapon makes auto wound, no rolls. So could be potentially good potentially if you fight a very tough unit, but not as good fit for compared to a big unit of Plague Marines that have typically not so strong weapons. They would benefit more from the auto wound than the Blightlord Terminators, but could be maybe useful in some particular situations where your opponent has very tough units. Then if we look at the specific Terminator stratagems and the Plague companies, first a specific general Terminator stratagem is Eruption of Filth for 1 command point when a Terminator model is destroyed. Then if you play this stratagem, the Terminator will explode before leaving the battlefield, and then you roll a dice for every non-Nurgle unit within 7 inch on this model. On a 4+, the units that are within get 1 per unit. On 4+, they get 1 mortal wound. So this could be a nice stratagem if your Blightlord Terminators are locked in melee combat with several enemy units. If they charge, let's say, behind the lines, they charge a big enemy, let's say castle or something like this, and then when the enemy fights back and maybe kills one Blightlord Terminator, you can use this stratagem, and then you can deal like an explosion and deal some mortal wounds. So this could thin the ranks if there are some units there, and it could be especially good if you're fighting, let's say, a big vehicle or a big character and it's only have very few wounds left, and it maybe kills 1 or 2 of your Terminators, and then you can use this stratagem and maybe you can get it down with this mortal wound. And this is particularly good because it's an explosion with no risk to the death card units, unlike, let's say, an exploding vehicle or demon engine. If we look at the Plague companies, some of them have applicable, not all of them have any applicable or very good stratagems for Blightlord Terminators, but the Ferrymen, I guess, have the best match. So here we have access to this stratagem, the Vermid Whispers, for 1 command point in the shooting phase. You add 1 to hit for Blightlord Terminator unit for the shooting phase, and this is a really good stratagem for your Blightlord Terminators, and not so much for the 1 to hit, but especially good if you have combi plasmas, because then you can always you can supercharge the plasma profile, and then you can consistently supercharge. You will do a lot more damage than the standard profile of the plasma gun, and you don't have any risk that the model is slain, unless the enemy has a -1 to hit. But still, this could be a good combination if you take then several combi plasmas with a Ferryman. Mortarion's Anvil, they have access to a stratagem called Futility Made Flesh. and this is in the when an enemy shoots a Terminator unit, you reduce the damage characteristic of the weapons by 1 to a minimum 1 damage. It's quite expensive, so 2 command points for 5 models and 3 command points for more models. It's quite situational. It would work, maybe if it's important, and it could work well if you are targeted by a lot of damage 2 to 3 weapons. For example, if you get shot with the new heavy bolters giving 2, but if you get targeted by, let's say, by a d6 plus 2 melta, then reducing that by 1, it doesn't really help you. I think you would be hoping for the invul saves rather than the damage rolls. But for example, for the it could be a big impact if you are targeted by damage 2 weapons, and then in this case you can bring it down to damage 1. You would save quite a lot, and they will not kill so many of your Terminators. But again, I don't think it's such a good stratagem to justify choosing the Mortarion's Anvil Plague Company instead of others. I will jump over this one, and then Mortarion's Chosen Sons. It has the Plague Brewers stratagem in the shooting phase, a Death Guard unit with Plague Spewers, Belchers, or Gauntlets get damage 2 instead of 1. Not really worth it at the moment, I think. But if the Plague Spewers get a range boost, and then we can see a higher use of those, then it could be interesting. But again, to choose the Plague Company only to get access to this stratagem, I don't think it will happen. So those were basically all the stratagems here. So summary and final thoughts. We have some good standard stratagems in the Death Guard arsenal that can be useful for Blightlord Terminators, like Veterans of the Long War, which is of course a very good stratagem for any kind of infantry unit. We have Cloud of Flies, maybe not a perfect match if they deep strike, because then they will be probably closer to the enemy than others, but it could be useful on occasions. And Relentless Volleys, giving extra shots for your combi bolters. It will be a better match for the combi bolters rather than the bolter profile of, for example, a combi plasma, because you don't want to shoot both and get the -1 to hit for most of the time. There is an interesting Blightlord Terminator specific stratagem. It's quite situational, but is this Eruption of Filth, where you can use the Blightlord Terminator as a mini bomb in the enemy lines if they can dish out some mortal wounds, like an exploding vehicle, let's say, without risk to Death Guard units. And if you consider to have a very heavy Blightlord Terminator focused list, maybe you can think about the Ferryman Plague Company, because getting access to the +1 to hit in shooting stratagem is really good for the Terminators, especially if they have combi plasmas and they can supercharge the plasma profile consistently. There is no particular crazy stratagem combo for the Terminators as I see it, at least that I can think of. Hopefully some of you guys have some other comments and ideas, and you can post some comments of this. I think we have the standard synergies with Death Guard abilities like the Arch Contaminator, the Blades of Putrefaction, and so on, and you can do a good of damage. So basically, but no crazy stratagem combos like multiple grenade rains or a lot of stacking stratagems like the Plague Marines could have for some activities. And basically, I guess it's because the Blightlord Terminators maybe don't need these crazy stratagem combos to do huge damage. So with these words, this concludes the video. So if you have some as I said, if you have some ideas or questions or suggestions for the stratagems for Blightlord Terminators, please leave a comment. If you like this video, please press like or subscribe to the channel, where I will be posting more videos on Death Guard tactics. And with these words, GeneralJannis is signing out. Stay safe out there, and bye-bye.